Thank you. For the record, Darryl Perry, CEO of Liberty Lobby LLC. To answer Representative Hewitt's question about the wording of boxes and crosses, that is boilerplate for all CACRs. You'll see the same language in CACR17 that's coming up to you next. But the specific amendment proposed for this amendment is about authorizing this body to set up recall. And it's not a new process. It's been around for a long time. Currently there are, well, depending on how you count, and I'm getting this information from the National Conference of State Legislators, at least 29, or according to some counts, 36 states allow for recall of local officials, and then it's somewhere around 20 that allow for state officials. And the processes differ greatly from state to state. And again, as Representative Reed said, that's not necessarily being addressed here. This would just authorize this body to wind up coming up with some procedures. But I do want to address, to hopefully alleviate some of the concerns, it's not something that happens very frequently. Again, National Conference of State Legislature shows all recall elections held in the United States for state legislators. The first one was 1913. The most recent that they have listed here was 2013. There were a couple unsuccessful recalls that were tried, to where the petition went around beginning the recall process, and then the legislator decided to resign instead of going through the recall process. Virginia allows something that is technically not recall, but could also be addressed by this body if this passes, to where they call it, give me 1 second to find the term here, it is a recall trial, meaning that the citizens collect a petition of a certain number of signatures, and it's generally, based on my digging, between 10 to 25% of the population in the area. Sometimes it's broken down to X percent of registered voters. Other times it's a percentage of people that voted in the previous election. So again, we're not talking about just go collect 100 signatures and then you can recall an elected official. We're talking large numbers here. But in Virginia, the petition goes around, and then that initiates a trial before. Let me read exactly what they say here. Virginia's process is similar to recall, but is not listed because it's a recall trial. In Virginia, after sufficient petition signatures are gathered and verified, a circuit court decides whether the official will be removed from office. And some states require for cause, meaning that the person had to have violated some kind of statute, violate the oath of office, etc. And other states allow for anything. I didn't like that Representative fill in the blank wore a blue tie on Tuesday instead of a green tie. And if you can find the number of people, then that process begins. But again, it's not something that happens just willy-nilly all the time. To address Representative Harrington's concerns, most of the states that have recall do have longer terms of office, but as Representative Reed suggested, something to shorten that window would be that you have the election to replace the official held at the same time that you have the vote on whether or not to remove that person from office. And most of the states that have recall, they don't have primaries before determining who the nominees are. They just, here's the filing fee, and you can have 5 Republicans, 3 Democrats, 2 Greens, etc., all on the ballot at the same time. And again, a lot of this is getting way past what this bill is. This bill is just, should this body discuss this in the future? And I think we should at least give the voters the choice of whether or not they want to have this body consider recall. So with that, I'll end my testimony and answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Perry? Mr. Perry? Harry, I do have
Yes.
a question. In regards to Virginia, I believe that was the state you referred to the most. Do you have any idea what the length of term of office for a state official is in Virginia?
I believe most of their officials are 4 years.
Thank you. Any further questions?
And I believe that's the same for the vast majority of states that do have recall as 4-year terms.
I'm seeing no further questions. Thank you for your testimony.